Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Strong and the Geek podcast.
Woohoo!
I am, as always, your host, Ben Ramirez. With me today is my special guest host, Not Optimus Prime.
Hello, it is me, Not Optimus Prime.
Clearly.
He doesn't sound like that at all.
No.
Who is the guy who's been doing the voice for Optimus Prime? Hasn't he been doing it since, like, the 80s cartoon?
I believe so,
It's
yeah.
the same dude.
He does have a solid voice for that character.
Transformers news, I'm pretty sure I saw this week that Anthony Hopkins joined the cast of Transformers 5.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Is it going to be like Odin or Hannibal Lecter? If they did a Hannibal Lecter Transformers crossover, that'd be cool.
I don't know how
Hannibal gets his hands on Megatron, and they really fuck shit up.
I'm not sure how much money they had to offer him, but, like, he's Anthony Hopkins. He's one of the greatest of all time.
I don't know, dude. Did you see The Rite?
The what?
The Rite, R-I-T-E.
No.
It was a movie he was in where he was like a Catholic priest and was some about exorcism. It was a shit movie. His career has gone a little bit south since Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, but no, man, he's good. He's Odin.
He is cool. Well, no. Now Loki is Odin, as far as we know. So.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I've been waiting for them to explain that, and Avengers 2 kind of totally overlooked it.
Yeah, they kind of... Well, I mean, Ragnarok, the rumors have been confirmed that obviously Hulk is in it.
Yeah, it's going
to be kind of like a cosmic buddy cop movie.
Well, apparently it's going to be partially Planet Hulk and then partially Ragnarok.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how...
And it's confirmed that we are going to see Hulk with his gladiator armor, which is dope as shit, because that's sweet.
Well, and I'm interested to see how they do that, because on Planet Hulk, he does fight Beta Ray Bill, so I'm wondering if they're going to bring... If they're not going to straight up bring Beta Ray Bill into it, maybe Thor is just going to be of Beta Ray.
Probably that's what they'll do, because Beta Ray is pretty... For the general audience, is pretty far.
Super obscure.
For any of you who don't know... Explain to Beta Ray. He looks like a horse.
He has a horse face. He's from an alien species that they did like a genetically modified, basically their version of like Captain America, their super soldier to help protect their species. And initially, Beta Ray Bill and Thor fight, and
horse v God.
And eventually, Thor realizes that he's so honorable of a warrior and so talented of a warrior that he's actually has a hammer forged for him. I think it's called Stormcaller, and it's as strong as Mjolnir.
And then he
becomes another Asgardian
and then
warrior.
He literally just looks like Thor, only with a horse face.
Yeah, he looks exactly like Thor with a horse face and a golden hammer.
They become like best buddies, and there are times where Beta Ray actually is like stronger than Thor.
Yeah, and Beta Ray does a lot of cool stuff in the comics, one of which is in Planet Hulk. They put like a collar on him and they like wipe his mind, and is forced to fight as a champion in this arena. And he has to fight against Hulk. Yes, nay.
Nay, Asgard!
Okay. So,
is that his call? For Asgard, nay!
I don't think so. So in any case, we have some exciting things this week.
What?
We've already touched on some news.
Well, yeah, keep talking. So what happened to you this week?
Well, this week as always, I watched a bunch of TV.
Man, what the hell else is new?
I binged a new show. Well, not a new show, but a show I heard about season 2 coming out.
It's new to you.
So yeah, so I wanted to binge season 1. Angie Tribeca, starring Rashida Jones.
From Steve Carell and...
From Steve and Nancy Carell.
Mrs. Carell.
Nancy.
Her name's
Carell.
Nancy?
Yeah, she was on SNL.
She was also Carol on The Office, his realtor.
Oh, yeah.
That actually was his wife.
Yep. So, the show was really funny in the dumbest possible way.
That's kind of fun. So basically, like our show.
Well, it's like straight up parody in the same vein of like Airplane or Police Academy, or Naked Gun, Spaceballs, anything Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
The thing that's great about it is it takes all of the tropes of procedural cop shows and completely
it's a cop show.
Completely plays with it. Yeah, she's a detective. They start off each episode with like the intro, kind of like CSI, where there's just a bunch of like images of like Miami Beach or whatever.
Okay.
And you just hear a voice going like "Ow!" like the Who thing, but instead of it being like the song, it's just a guy screaming, and then it goes into whatever the scene is, and it just like there's a quick shot of a guy who's like got like his hand stuck in a drawer or whatever. So like every episode just starts with someone screaming.
So kind of what you do very often on
the
podcast,
show. Yeah. Wow!
Scream for whatever reason.
Several of the episodes are just named like The Wedding Planner Did It. Or like the famous ventriloquist did it. That's the name of the episode.
They just ruined the mystery from the beginning.
And,
I like that.
And they have a lot of really cool cameos. There's a lot of great, like in the one episode, it was all about ventriloquist.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, the famous ventriloquist did it, as the name of the episode implies.
And the ventriloquist was played by whom?
Jeff Dunham.
Oh, that's cool.
The world's most famous ventriloquist.
Oh, that seems like I should have guessed that. That's
and
awesome.
he had Walter, his wooden
Walter cameo too.
puppet.
I actually was driving the other day and I saw a peanut, like the life-sized peanut.
Yeah.
In the back seat, like with its facing out the rear window.
Okay.
Like staring at me on the highway while I'm driving.
Oh, that's a little disconcerting.
And because I'm so used to seeing it so animated and alive when Jeff Dunham does it, like I felt like it was alive. Like it wasn't just a puppet. It was like actually watching me drive, like a little kid that stares at you.
Well, no, that's fair, because like when you watch anytime he does a performance, you forget for a second that like he's controlling them. It's like they're just like talking to each other.
The only one that I don't forget is the jalapeno on a stick. Like that one.
Yeah.
That one I'm always like, no, this is you, dude.
Oh yeah.
Or also
because that's the most crude puppet he has.
Or also the hick one that's like, beer, drink a beer.
Bubba J, I think.
Yeah, that one's stupid.
Yeah, he has some bad characters.
Yeah.
Walter's good though.
Yeah.
That's an intricate puppet too. It's got the eyebrows move, the eyes move. There's a lot of levers.
We should get some puppets.
No.
We should have puppets of us made for this show. The Strong and the Geek puppets.
Our own puppets?
Dude, we should get puppets of us.
That's what I meant.
And then ventriloquist.
Other?
What's the verb form of ventriloquize?
Ventriloquize? Go on a ventriloquist?
We will look up what the verb form is, but we will do ventriloquism.
Throw your voice.
Yeah, we will do ventriloquism with us doing puppets of ourselves.
Of ourselves?
Like you do the Ben one and I do the Josh
so
one.
It'll be like, hey little Ben, hey big Ben.
Like, and people no, not little Ben. Just hey Ben, hey Josh.
Hello other Ben.
And people would be like, wow, you guys are really good at ventriloquism. Like, where'd you come up with that character? Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Like, it's just me.
Fair enough. The other thing that I started watching, I'm only about halfway through it. It's a new Netflix show. It's actually an anime that they're producing called Ajin.
Netflix has a shit ton of animes on it now.
Well, yeah, but they only have a couple that they've produced.
But I feel like every time I get onto Netflix now, it recommends a new anime. I don't even watch anime. So someone must be watching anime on my account, or Netflix just assumes that I'm going to like it.
I don't watch a lot of anime, but I saw that this one was produced by Netflix. I was like, oh, everything Netflix makes is awesome, so let's check it out.
That's a pretty fair assessment.
So far, pretty cool. It's about...
What's it called again?
It's called Ajin.
Ajin?
Or Ajin, I don't know how it's pronounced. Basically, the idea behind it is kind of the same idea as Highlander. Like, there are certain people that they turn out to be...
only one.
They turn out to be immortal, but they don't learn until they die. So the show...
You mean until they're about to die?
Well, no, until they die the first time.
Oh, cool.
And then they come back to life, and everyone's like, oh my god! So basically, it's like modern day, but like 17 years ago...
So it was 17 years ago, not modern day.
No, modern day is where the show takes place. But 17 years ago...
In 1999.
In 1999... the first one... Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. The first one of these Ajin people...
Ajin are the immortal people?
Yeah. The first one that came out publicly, like that it was discovered that these things exist, happened. And since then, I think they said like 46 of them have been discovered. And they've kind of changed a lot of things in the world. But what a lot of people don't know is that the moment one appears, they're taken by the government, and the governments just experiment on them by all manners of terrible things. Not just trying to like figure out what they are and what they do, but they're like experimenting on them with like makeup and like different chemicals to see if that they can poison people.
I like that because that's probably what would happen in real life.
Yeah, well they know that they're gonna die. Like, they can die and then they just come back to life as soon as you kill them.
Right.
So they're just like, okay, well let's see if drinking a gallon of bleach would kill somebody, and then they torture them.
Now where's the other, like, do they fight with katanas and stuff? Or?
No. Actually, they have a weird, like, ethereal ghost thing that comes out of them that they can fight with, that only they can see. They explain it in the show that it's not actually a ghost, it's physical matter, but that light doesn't react with it the same way. I don't know. It gets kind of... They're going for, like, a sci-fi tick to it.
It's the Flash science. Like
yeah. But in any case, the show's really cool. It's super dark. The kid is, like... a high school age kid.
That must be because light doesn't react to it.
Hooray! And you see him get tortured.
Yeah, that too.
Wah, wah. Yeah, they're really messed up.
They torture kids?
Yeah, they don't care.
You know, if I was going to torture someone, I think it'd be a kid.
What?
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Now we gotta start over again.
No. Not again.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
Me either. Keep going.
4 score. Anyway. So I'm only about halfway through it. So far, it seems really cool. I'm gonna check out the rest of it this week. But that's more or less what I looked at.
Give your out of 10s for Nancy Pelosi and
Angie Tribeca.
Angie Tribeca.
Angie Tribeca. I'll give it a 7. It's funny. It's not the best show I've ever seen, but it's dumb and funny. You can have it on in the background. Agent, I'm really enjoying it. I'm gonna give it an 8.
So you would recommend Agent over Nancy Tribeca?
I mean, if you're into
Angie, not Nancy.
If you're into dark animes, sure. If you're not into that type of thing,
so if you're into child torture, a Jin. If
you're into stupid comedies and pretty ladies, Angie Tribeca.
Okay, if you're into torturing seriousness, that's cool.
Another little now. What happened to you this week? Before I get into another piece of news.
Yeah. Hold your horses there, buddy boy.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I and most of the listeners don't really care. But what happened to you this week?
Well, fuck you. I had a pretty docile week in terms of nerd stuff. I was doing a lot of work and stuff, so I didn't get to really read any comic books or anything like that. However, I did. So this has been out for a long time, probably like a couple of years now or something. But I was able to download Chrono Trigger, the iOS version.
One of the best games ever made.
Oh yeah. And actually playing it again, I played through. It reminded me how good it was playing it again. For any of you, for whatever reason, don't know what Chrono Trigger is, it's a game that was originally on the Super Nintendo by Square Enix. The artwork was done by the guy who did Dragon Ball Z. He did all the character designs and everything. Then, basically, it was like the Final Fantasy staff, and I think Akira Toriyama is his name, the Dragon Ball Z guy. Like, them working together. So everything you would ever want in like a nerd Japanese game was there. It had a great cast of characters, awesome plot about time travel. The combat system was easy and cool and intuitive. Everything about it was great.
Fantastic musical score.
The music was awesome. Nothing about this game was bad. And it was one of the first games that had a whole shit ton of alternate endings, so it had a lot of replay value. It had the New Game Plus mode where after you win, you could start from the beginning with all your stats from the end of the game and stuff.
And all the characters were really compelling.
Yeah.
There's not a single character that... Because in most games where you have a large roster, there's like always one character that you're like, nobody likes Kate Sith.
I was gonna say that. Like, when we used to play as kids, like, we never wanted to use Luca or Marl because they were
because they're girls and we're boys.
But dude, now like I literally, and especially after Chrono dies and you bring him back to life, and then you can rotate whoever you want through your party. I have been doing purposely using different combinations of characters. One, because they have the cool double text and triple text, but also just because I like all the characters. Yeah. And the cool thing is, if you take different groups to talk to different people, the interactions will be different. So, for instance, if you take Glenn as your front party character, and go talk to people, Glenn or Frog has been transformed by a wizard into a frog. So he's we
always called him Glenn, even though the character.
Well, Glenn is his real name, but the name they give him is Frog. Well, he's like an anthropomorphic frog who like is a knight, wears like armor and a cape and stuff. Well, if you go with Frog and talk to people, they'll be like, "Whoa, you're a frog."
Yeah.
Like, except for in his own time period, everybody knows about him. But like in other times, they're like,
"You're a really big frog."
Excuse me, Mr. Froggy. So playing it again has been really fun. But one thing that we never got to do on Super Nintendo is after you beat the game. So it was re-released on DS, and they added some content, and the iOS version has the DS additions to it. And one is there's a couple extra dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing those dungeons now that I beat the game, and they're compelling because the cool thing is that the one dungeon I'm in now that I'm working on apparently connects the game to Chrono Cross. Like, it's like the bridge dungeon. So when you get through the dungeon, apparently the Time Devourer, the boss of Chrono Cross, that was like Lavos and Shala put together.
Yeah.
This is like it in its infancy, like when it merges with Shala.
Okay.
So it like bridges the gap between the two games, which is good because when we first played Chrono Cross, the sequel, we were like, how does this connect to Chrono Trigger really? I don't know.
Yeah, you don't really get much until later on in the game.
Yeah, the final thing that that was pretty much just playing Chrono Trigger and really, really enjoying it. But damn, dude, I forgot even like how cool Magus is. He is one of the most compelling, cool video game characters fucking ever. So one of these days, when we talk about like our top favorite video game characters, Magus is going to be high.
Why have we not thought about having him in a Clash of the Tides?
Oh, we will.
He will, absolutely. Maybe against, like, Sauron or something.
I don't know, but Magus is... Literally, I didn't even realize, like, in the game, if you talk to people, they're like... So Shala, his older sister, is considered, like, the strongest, like, sorceress And when he's a little kid, like, you go around talking to people, and I didn't notice this because I guess when we were kids we didn't talk to the NPCs a whole lot, but like they all say like, oh, Lord Janus, which is Magus as a kid. They're like, Lord Janus is young and doesn't use his magic, but already he is like the strongest we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it dwarfs like Shala's power, and I'm like, holy shit, man! Like, he is just badass.
He's a super cool character. Actually, initially they wanted to write the character Guile from Chrono Cross as him, and then they thought that just kind of took away from too much and would need too much backstory.
And I read, actually, and the other thing was that I read, actually, this week, because I was thinking the same thing, I read that apparently the director of Chrono Cross said that another reason why he didn't want to do it is because Chrono Cross has, like, over 44 characters or something, or over, like, 44 or over 40 or something, and he literally said, like, wrote down in, like, an interview, like, I didn't want to actually have Magus in it because people wouldn't use any of the other characters.
Right.
Like, everybody would just have Magus in the for the
no
whole
one
game.
would ever do the different lines right there where you end up with the French guy.
Yeah, or the
it's
you can either get the French swordsman, you can get Guile, or you can get one other person, but I forget who.
Is it Greco there? Or is Greco later?
No, Greco's later.
Okay. Well, in any case, yeah, so that's a...
So, yeah, and I agree with him. I was like, yeah, no, if Magus is in that game, I would... Because, like, the second I get Glenn, I'd never take Glenn out of my party, so... Yeah.
Although Guile was a pretty sweet character, admittedly.
Cool. Alright, so yeah, that Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross. I'm probably going to play Chrono Cross again after I finish up Chrono Trigger.
You know, funny little side note about Chrono Trigger. Here's a little did you know. You know how there are the characters Ozzy, Slash, and Flea, obviously based off of the U.S. rock stars.
Yep.
Which, as a kid, again, I had no idea. I thought
clue.
they just chose really weird terms, and then I was like, oh, Ozzy, Slash, and Flea, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they only did that for the American translation.
Which doesn't surprise me.
The Japanese is even stranger. Their names are, if you translate it in English, ketchup, mustard, and mayonnaise.
I like that.
I did not make that up.
I like that. That doesn't surprise me at all. Ozzy's a joke, dude. And Flea, the weird thing is, so when you first encounter Flea, I don't know if you remember this, but when you first encounter Flea, I went with Frog, Chrono, and Robo. And Frog goes like, beware this witch. Like, there's more to her than meets the eye. And Robo says like, but she has the appearance of a female. I don't understand. Beep, boop, beep. And then she goes like, hee hee, what is man and woman anyway? Like, ha ha ha, and like twirls her hair. And I'm like, wait a second, is she like transsexual?
You think the implication is that Flea's got a dick?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and I haven't looked up anything more into it, but I, as a kid, would have never understood that.
I don't understand.
It's a really weird, and it comes out of nowhere. I don't know if it was a translation thing, but it's a really weird piece of dialogue.
That is a bizarre piece of dialogue.
Because that part really caught me up. I was like, what does that mean?
You know what I was thinking would be really cool if we did for a Clash of the Tights? Would be a matchup of silly, dumb bosses, as in Ozzy versus Ultros from Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
The octopus.
Yeah.
Who has all those stupid, like...
Or Bowser from Mario. Just jump over. Because Ozzy, you just flip the switches, he falls and dies. Bowser, you hit the axe, falls in the lava.
Yeah, that'd be solid.
Also, Mario murdered him. Mario fucking murdered in lava. He lava'd Bowser. Or, alternatively, he grabs him by his tail and fucking throws him off a tower.
Okay, well, we know that Mario's a monster.
Yeah.
He killed all of the Bowser children.
Yeah, and he stomps on
They're
turtles.
children. They're being forced to do that job by their tyrant father.
I do love Baby Luigi, though. From Mario Kart.
Yeah, do you?
Mario
He's
Kart
so cute.
Mario Kart Double Dash. Uh-oh, Baby Luigi time.
Anyway.
Green Shell. All right, moving on. What did you want to talk about news now? By the way, you're right. The listeners just listen to 10 minutes and be talking about Chrono Trigger. Like, shut the fuck up, dude.
No, I was going to mention that Civil War II, not a film, Civil War II, the follow-up to the original Marvel Civil War comic from 2006, I believe, and now it's 10 years later.
It started up.
It started out this month. In issue 1, we had a bunch of crazy stuff happen. Now, this is set up as being Iron Man versus Captain Marvel.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to Iron Man versus Captain America.
What's her real name? Like Carol Danvers or something?
Carol Danvers.
Yeah.
She was Miss Marvel, now she's Captain Marvel.
Right. Not Shazam.
No, not Shazam. Basically, the premise is, spoilers, a new Inhuman shows up named Ulysses, and Ulysses has the power to see into the future, basically.
Okay.
So, basically what happens is the Inhumans are able to do this thing that it's like, whoa, how are they able to do that? And it's because he saw how it would happen.
Okay.
Now, then they get into this discussion as to whether or not they should use that power, because Ulysses is like, I want to help the Avengers and the Inhumans to fight bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And Iron Man's like, I don't think we should really utilize your ability, because first of all, what happens if you're wrong?
So Iron Man did what Iron Man does best. Be a fucking dick.
No. It's like the question from Minority Report. He's like, is it okay for us to arrest people before they commit a crime? What if you're wrong?
You know what? That movie had Tom Cruise, though. Also a dick.
You know, they actually almost tapped Tom Cruise to play Tony Stark. Anyway,
no surprise.
Beside the point.
All right, now continue. Okay, Iron Man is only partially a dick.
For that matter, they actually almost tapped John Krasinski to be Captain America.
Wow.
All right, yeah, right? In any case, okay, so...
You can't tell right now, but I'm looking at the camera like Jim.
So Iron Man says, I don't think we should, trust that this guy can perfectly see the future, because we might do something wrong. And Captain Marvel's like, well, but maybe we should. Well, in any case, using his ability to kind of see the future, they plot an ambush for Thanos. They're like, yeah, let's go fuck up Thanos, and in the attack, things kind of go poorly.
This is all in issue 1?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
It's a big one, apparently.
Maybe it's like a special, like 80-pager or something.
Yeah, well, it's an 8-week run, from my understanding.
Oh, okay, so no, they're longer.
And they're doing shoot-off comics as well. So, during Civil War 2, there's going to be Civil War 2 Spider-Man. And
those limited special editions always have a bunch of tie-ins.
So, basically, I guess...
All to make more money.
What happens is that during this fight, Rhodey gets killed, War Machine.
Holy shit.
And She-Hulk gets critically...
He should have got killed in
Civil War, that was a throwaway. Like, he looked like he died, and then they're like, oh no, he's okay, and he'll walk again, sure. But anyway, that's beside the point. We already talked about that.
Yeah, he pulled a Felicity.
Yeah, but he did pull a Felicity. So, except she was, on her feet the moment they put the chip in. She was fine. But in any case, so basically then She-Hulk gets critically wounded. So now we have one person from either side of this.
What's She-Hulk's real name?
Oh, you're going to make me look it up, aren't you?
I don't know. That's fine. We'll figure it out another time. So then what happens?
So She-Hulk gets critically wounded. Now she's really close friends with Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up dying as well. But right before she dies, she tells Captain Marvel to not give up using the fight, and that Ulysses' power, they should use it to help save the day.
Jennifer Walters.
That's right, Jennifer Walters. In any case, so the idea now is that Iron Man is saying, how dare you you relied on this guy's power, and now because of that you got my buddy Rhodey killed. And she's saying, if you would have been with us, and we would all trusted in together, we could have beat Thanos and this wouldn't have happened. I guess that's the basic idea. And that's what's going to spark this big thing.
Civil War.
They both lost a friend over this.
I like that. It's kind of similar to the movie, sort of.
Yeah.
The movie was about friends, too.
Well, the point that they really wanted to make in the original Civil War, and they're making this one as well, is that neither of them is right or wrong perfectly. Each of them is good and bad in their own way, and it's up to the audience to decide what team they're on.
Which is different than the United States of America's Civil War, where the Confederacy was pretty wrong.
Well, not if you talk to anyone who says that the South will rise again.
Yeah, you're pretty wrong.
Yeah, that's solid.
I don't think I've ever met anyone who tried to advocate for the Confederacy's agenda and was in any way right.
What does that even say?
I don't know. No, I know what it says. Go ahead.
But yeah, anyway, that's what we know so far from Civil War 2. I'm excited to see more. I just thought I'd bring it up because it's an event going on right now in Marvel Comics, and we're always talking DC, so
we are.
Give a little shout out.
I have a bias.
Last thing I want to talk about, real quick, before we go on to our Geek of the Week. I talked to you earlier today about this really ambitious game that's going to be coming out, I think later this year, called No Man's Sky.
Yeah, it comes out in August, I think, or September.
I'm really excited for this. You're not so much excited for this, but that's okay. Basically, this is the most ambitious game ever made. It's a procedurally generated sci-fi game where you fly around a universe that's actually created by the in-game system, and it's a fully sized universe. They said that it'll have over 18 quintillion planets.
Yeah, so if any of you are wondering how the fuck that works, just don't ask, because it's technical.
Yeah. Well, basically, you could land on a planet, and if you're the first person there, you can name the planet, You can name the different animals that are randomly generated on the planet.
Mhm.
You have to sometimes worry that like there might be hostile animals or environments.
And then you submit that information to like the general server called the Atlas, and for doing that you get money and rewards and stuff. And then once it's in the Atlas, other players can access and visit your planet.
Now here's the thing.
You can send them the coordinates in this universe to your planet, and your planet will be there.
Yeah. Here's the thing about it. They analyzed it. I don't know who analyzed it, but they said that 99.9% of this game will never be seen by any player.
Right.
That
Just like the actual
in order
universe.
for the entire game to be seen, it would take 585 billion years.
For one player, that's nuts. Right, that'd be one player to go see all of it.
I assume that would be for all players.
That's
I mean,
true.
this is massive. The odds are you'll probably go to a planet and name all the stuff, and no one will ever see that again.
Unless you send them the coordinates.
Yeah, and if you do, maybe they'll fly down and see, like, Planet Josh with all of the dongfish.
Yeah,
and
the Josh fish.
And the big dick-necked giraffe.
I also read that if you decide, like, hey, who cares, like, there are quintillions of planets. I'm just gonna go on this planet, burn all the
Kill all the animals.
burn all the flora, and murder all the fauna. There's these things, I guess, I don't know if they're called, like, sentries or something
Sentinels,
like that. Something like that. But they send them after you. Like, they're like the police-keeping force that will come after you and try and kill you if you're doing that.
I think that'll be awesome. It'll
I
be
think
like
that's
GTA
cool.
in space.
I would kind of want to become like a rogue.
Well, actually, if you're just killing animals and blowing up planets, you're not a rogue. At that point, you're a goddamn supervillain.
Yeah, you're evil. You're just evil. The only my hesitation is I don't know. I've never played it. It hasn't come out yet. So maybe it's gonna be awesome and great. My hesitation is because it just sounds so open ended. Like there's not gonna be any clear objective. And I come from the school of liking games with clear objectives. So for example, like I mentioned, I bought Skyrim for $5. I have already gotten like bored with it. Like I'm only level 3. I've only done like 3 missions or something. But it's just so like I don't like not just having them say like, oh, talk to the man in the other tavern in some town. You'll find him. It's on the other side of a mountain. And there's
the guy who spent a whole semester in England, ladies and gentlemen.
And you're surrounded by mountains and you're surrounded by snow and all this stuff.
Oh, but it's so beautiful.
No.
The exploration's part of it.
No, and I don't like it. And I was exploring and I randomly ran into like this giant ogre thing.
Oh yeah, no, don't touch the giants.
No, and it was blatantly substantially stronger than I am, and then I accidentally he just picked me, and then he chased me.
That's right outside of Whiterun. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Instead of staying in his giant campfire, he left me in the middle of this blizzard and chased me for miles and miles, and I was like, leave me alone,
Did he
bro.
hit you with his hammer and send you shooting into the air?
No, he killed me.
Well, yeah, but usually it shows your body literally flying up over mountains.
Well,
it's one of those collision detection things.
I was pissed. I was like, I didn't attack him. I just happened to, because I saw a bonfire. It was like, oh, a human settlement.
Yeah.
I'll go interact with them. No, it was a fucking giant.
Giants are very protective of their herds of mammoths.
Well,
and if you get too close, they will beat the shit out of you.
I would much rather have the NPC say, oh, you're a frog. Go find Magus's castle. It's north. By the way, I didn't give it my out of 10 for Chrono Trigger.
10 out of 10 for
10
Chrono Trigger.
for masterpiece.
Absolutely.
But
then again, for me, it's 10 out of 10 for Skyrim.
Oh, see, Skyrim I would give an 8. Actually, I'd give a 7.
I think it's amazing. That's by the point. The reason why I think this game, and games like in the future like this, might be amazing is that, look, I don't have a lot of time to sit down and play anymore between...
You don't have 500 billion years?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm usually pretty busy. I'm working on something in the house, taking care of the kids, going to work, all that stuff, right?
Adult crap.
So, when I sit down and I'm boot up, say, The Witcher, something like that.
Which, by the way, there's new DLC for that.
Yeah, and I have not dug into that yet. But, I'm going to sit down. Maybe I'm going to play a couple missions. I'm going to just run around and see if I can find a new sword or a new set of armor or whatever. And I know after half hour, an hour, that's all I'm going to get to play, right? A game like this, I know, oh, you know what? I'm just going to hyperspace, find a random planet, drop down, see if I can name a couple animals, and that'll be my gaming for the day.
See,
I don't have to be oh, well, I need to make it here, and then I'm scratching, saying, oh, what happens next in the story?
For me, it would be if I have I'm going to play video games to chill for an hour, I would rather, play a few rounds of Halo or play Rocket League or,
That's fair
or
too.
gain some levels in Chrono Trigger.
That's fair too.
Or play Tetris. I don't know.
I don't know. I just thought when they announced this at E3 last year, and when they showed the initial video, it just shows you like on a planet, and then it just zooms out of the planet, and then zooms out of that solar system, zooms out of that galaxy, zooms out all the way until you see, and they're like, every single one of those dots is a galaxy, and every single one of those dots is filled with billions of planets, and all of them you can land on. I was like, this is a lie. There's no way that they're...
Well, the studio...
They created the Matrix. It's an entire universe.
The studio, the problem is that so I don't know if you knew this, but the only games that they've actually been releasing, like commercial games, are these called Joe Danger, and they're literally just like stunt bike games that are like
really?
Yeah, they're not... So all of their... Since this studio began... all of their resources and manpower and actual like ambition has gone to working on this game. So it's either going to be awesome or a shit show, because it's like...
I'm hoping it's awesome.
Right.
I'm really excited for it. And when it comes out, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to give you my out of 10.
And that is a PS4 and PC exclusive, so sorry, Xbone.
Oh, is it really? I didn't see that.
It will not be on the Xbone.
Well, I cannot wait.
I think it's about time we talk about our geek.
Geek!
Geek
of the week!
Okay, even if you yell away from the microphone, it's still yelling, dude.
Geek of the week. Geek of the week. Geek of the week. Because I'm all about that geek of the week now.
Alright, that's enough of that. Who was our geek of the week this week?
Our geek of the week is a young man in China.
A Lego artist.
A Lego artist at the Chinese Lego Expo.
He was shown. He was doing an exhibition or something, a demonstration.
Yeah.
A display at the Chinese Lego Expo.
His name is Zhao.
And by Lego artist, we don't mean like he paints Legos. He builds things with Legos, but like sculptures and stuff. And Zhao.
Apparently he was only identified as Mr. Zhao.
Yeah, Mr. Zhao. He built in 3 days. He built a life-sized, like almost identical replica.
Yeah, it was 150 centimeter.
It costing $15,000 a Lego sculpture of the fox from Zootopia.
Actually, some of the analysts the estimates have it at over $20,000 worth of Lego pieces.
And this was the fox voiced by Jason Bateman. I forget his actual name in the movie.
Nick Wilde.
He built it, and we will obviously tweet a picture of this. It is phenomenally realistic looking, in terms of looking just like straight out the movie.
Now, here's the funny part of this story.
But he's the Geek of the Week 1 because that's badass, and in 3 days doing that is incredible. But there's more to it.
Here's the depressing part of the story. It took him 3 days laboriously doing this. Within an hour, it took less than an hour.
The display opens.
For one roving child to reduce the entire fox to a pile of plastic rubbish.
A little kid crawled under the rope, went up to touch the display, knocked it over, and Nick Wilde exploded. He got tortured like a gin.
Oh, man. You know, and here's the worst thing about it. There was a sign that's warned people not to touch. And... you know what? People want to give a hard time about this whole thing with the gorilla and saying, like, oh, that parent, should have been watching their kid. And, like, you look away for a moment and your kid can get away from you. That's why I'm not going to blame the parent here. That's just a shit kid.
Yeah, and you know what, though? And the props to... So, Mr. Zhao, 1, props to you for building that thing. But 2, props... How he handled the situation was totally... He was completely fine. The parents were apologizing and offering him money, and he said, no, it was an accident. These things happen. He handled it very with poise and respect, and it kind of was just like, hey, you're a cute kid. Haha, it's all right. Like, you know what? I build things all the time. So, hats off to you, man. You are the geek of the week.
Geek of the week. Yay!
Dude, I miss Legos. They were fun.
I'm just looking at a picture right now of him standing next to his statue.
Dude, look at him.
It's almost as tall as he is.
Tweet the picture when after tonight's show, because he's a cool looking dude. He's doing the Spiderman thing with his hands.
Yeah, flip the whip.
What a bro. I wish he would do... I wonder if he takes requests. I would want him to do full-scale Lego models of us.
You penis?
Yeah, penis is included, yeah.
Oh, you want us animated?
Naked.
Wait, are we going to wear clothes over our Lego bodies?
No. Naked sculptures of us out of Legos.
Okay.
Yeah. So make sure you shave your pubes that day.
But what about... No, I want him to use some, like, black Legos.
No.
down there
They don't know.
for variety?
No, dude, they don't do that. All right, we're not going to talk about that anymore.
You don't want to talk about my pubes anymore?
No.
I thought that was our main topic for tonight.
No.
Because this is our 5th week top 5. This is our 10th episode, by the way.
10th episode.
So I figured we would just like my top 5 pubes.
Welcome to our second 5th week top 5.
Yeah, that makes 10.
It does. This week, we were discussing what top 5 countdown should we do, and what did we come up with, Benny boy?
I was thinking, what about, all right, the era that you and I grew up in. I'm 26. You're 25. What era did we grow up in? The 90s.
We were thinking of our formative years.
And when we were formationing,
that's not a word.
It is now.
That is not a word.
What were we watching? Cartoons.
You know, people were watching cartoons in like every era.
Yeah, but
since cartoons.
But when we were modernizing, we were watching cartoons
in an era that arguably had the best cartoons.
Yeah, especially for formaldehyde.
Yeah, none of that lame like pandas on cell phones crap. Now that kids.
Hey, We Bare Bears isn't that bad.
Okay, keep going. So we decided we were going to count down the top
5 90s cartoons.
Chicka chicka.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's start this shindig.
Well, let me just put this out there. This is based on our personal desires.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And enjoyments, and we didn't want to just double up and both say like the same one.
No, we never want to double up.
So even though, like, for instance, something that might have been in his top 5 would be in my top 5, we're keeping them separate so that we actually are giving you 10 different cartoons. Because if not, we would just both be talking about how Batman's the best.
No, I think your top 5 sucks. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
So get us started.
Civil War. Number 5.
All right, go first.
Can I just hum you a little ditty to bring you back?
Oh, sure.
Rugrats.
It's Rugrats. It's Rugrats. Your number 5 is Rugrats.
Oh, yeah. Number 5, mother frickin' Rugrats.
Which debuted in 91, the year it was born.
Oh, did it?
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't do my research.
Yeah.
Rugrats was a great show.
It was.
I mean, you had Tommy Pickles, Chucky Finster,
Dill Pickles,
the twins, Phil and Lil, Angelica, Susie Carmichael. What a great cast.
The Japanese girl.
Oh yeah,
Chucky's
from
Japanese sister.
That
they got
his
in Paris?
dad in Paris. Yeah,
I didn't understand
that was a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
In any case,
Reptar, Spike.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Reptar. Gotta find that Reptar on Ice.
Yeah, the mom, Angelica's mom, that was really neglectful.
Yeah, she was super neglectful.
All right, Cynthia.
Yeah, Cynthia.
Right. So
anyway,
so what put Rugrats on your number 5?
Well, first of all, Rugrats is one of the coolest shows because you had they would go into these different worlds of imagination, you know, and they did all these pop culture references, but as if they were babies, like Okie Dokie Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just great. And now, as an adult looking back, little cool tidbits, like everyone knows the fan theory that all the babies are actually dead, and it's just Angelica. And
if you don't know, just look that up on the internet.
Yeah, and then Angelica's crazy, and that's why Dill Pickles is like Dill's an actual baby and can't talk to her because that's their actual baby.
Yeah.
But what a lot of people don't know is that the creator of the show is actually a huge Doctor Who fan, and he put in a bunch of little Doctor Who things in the show. For instance, in an episode where they're locked in a toy store, you can see in a rack there's a bunch of toy Daleks. The fact that Tommy always keeps a screwdriver in his diaper is
I keep a screwdriver in my pants too.
A cue to the fact that the Doctor has his sonic screwdriver. So you know, people make the joke that Tommy Pickles is just another one of the.
Maybe he's a doctor.
Maybe he's one of the reincarnations of the Doctor. He just happened to.
Reincarnated as a baby?
He regenerated as a baby.
Who was your favorite character in Rugrats?
I always. This is embarrassing. I always really connected with Chucky.
Oh, I liked Phil.
Was a whiny little shit too.
Yeah, with bad allergies and.
I had glasses.
That episode that was like Flowers of Algernon, where they got rid of his allergies, and he had that little mouse that did too.
Oh yeah.
That was a pretty sad one. But my favorite episode, if I had to pick, of Rugrats is the one with the watermelon seeds where they go inside the body.
Oh yeah.
That episode was sweet.
I like the episode where they're on the blacktop and they're afraid of the sunbird. And Tommy takes off his diaper and puts it on his head.
On his head, yeah. The other one I would say is the one where they think that Tommy's dad, Stu, is a robot.
Oh, yeah.
When they watch that was a cool one,
and they, like, tackle him or whatever.
Yeah, and they try to, like, open his chest.
Yeah. That show was weird.
Rugrats was cool.
All right, so what is your...
What would you give Rugrats out of 10? What would you give Rugrats out of 10?
Out of 10? 8.
An 8? I'd give it an 8 also.
It's in my top 5. All right, your number 5.
All right, number 5 for me, I'm going to go with another Nickelodeon cartoon that shaped my formative years quite a bit.
Your formulation years?
When it debuted. I'm talking about Rocket Power.
Oh, yeah, Rocket Power was
so
solid.
Otto, Reggie, Twister, and Sam, Squid.
The Squid.
4 kids who were just out there on a mission.
Yeah, just, you know, they were able to, they had the superpower that
surfing,
they were good at everything they did.
They went surfing, played street hockey, skateboard, bicycle. They literally did every extreme sport there was and were like professionals at it.
Yeah, hashtag white people problems.
Yeah, they lived in Southern California, presumably.
They lived in Hawaii.
No, I thought they lived in California.
No, they absolutely lived in Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah, that's why...
No, the one guy was Hawaiian for sure, but I know they lived in Hawaii.
They totally lived in Hawaii.
We'll have to look it up.
With Uncle Tito, or whatever his name was.
Well, I remember that Squid moved from Kansas, but he originally was going to move from, like, I think Nebraska or something, so he had an N on his shirt. Or something like that. But the reason why he had a letter on his shirt was because that was supposed to be the state he was originally from, and then the writers changed it.
Oh, word?
Yeah. Fun fact. I remember the lingo that we learned from that show, like beef, like major beef, and then we'd be playing Tony Hawk and we'd bail. That game basically spawned,
I beefed it.
That game basically made us like buying tech decks, like...
Oh, dude, tech decks!
Yeah, like playing Tony Hawk.
I can never do any
That
tricks.
show inspired me to start skateboarding for like 3rd to 6th grade.
Yeah.
So, Rocket Power was really good. I really liked Squid because he was like chill and he was a goalie and I played goalie.
And yeah, he turned out he was like a
superstar,
like a magic
But I
goalie.
also, in hindsight, I want to say Twister was my favorite.
Twister was like the druggy burnout.
I remember they were always videotaping everything.
Yeah.
You know Twister he works for a porn company now.
Oh,
but,
yeah, totally.
So Rocket Power.
Twisted Pictures.
Yeah, Rocket Power was a good one. And you know what, I want to go back and revisit because it had some funny jokes.
Do you remember we had the Rocket Power video game?
Yes.
Was that the PlayStation 1?
PlayStation 1, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. That wasn't a very good game.
No, it wasn't. And I would say the stick-out moment for me, for Rocket Power, was when he landed the Super McVarial 900.
Oh, yeah.
And it was because it had to get hit by a tennis ball to give him the extra spin. And also when Tony Hawk was on the show.
Yeah.
And Otto was doing tricks that Tony Hawk does, like, or can't do in real life.
You know, the funny thing is, I know fan theories and, like, weird stuff like that for almost every 90s cartoon.
I've never heard of any of Rocket Power.
I've never heard a single for Rocket
No,
Power.
actually, I did hear one theory of Rocket Power. That the cop, remember the cop, lady cop?
Yeah.
That she was Otto and Reggie's mom, and that's why her and the dad at the surf shack, or this restaurant they owned, they always, like, had, like, weird interactions, and, like, and Otto and Reggie never met their mom. The theory was, there was more hints, but I don't remember, but I remember it was reading that the cop was their mom.
So that's where he came up with the idea to sell fish tacos.
Oh, Jesus. Well, it was because like Otto and Reggie were clearly like mixed race.
Yeah.
But their dad was like super white.
Yeah. So. Well, I always figured it was because he betted some Hawaiian girl because they live in Hawaii.
Maybe they do. So I would give Rocket Power an 8 out of 10.
Cool. All right. The next one on my number 4. Let me just ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to be the very best, like no one ever was?
Have you ever had the feeling that you...
Pokemon! Anyway.
I told you stop doing that.
No, I'm not going to stop doing that. Keeps the listeners on their toes.
No, literally, they're in a swerve while driving and crash because of you.
Yeah, no, that's the best.
I was going to say you got to catch them all.
Yeah.
Not scream Pokemon.
I cut you off with Pokemon.
Alright, go ahead.
I'm talking about Pokemon. And I'm talking about the 90s Pokemon. I'm not talking about adding
151.
There are now over 700 Pokemon in continuity.
You subtract 550 of those, and I'm in.
There are 151 Pokemon. And
you're talking about the show that took over the world.
I'm talking about the show that we had a personal connection to.
You did.
We had, you know what? Pokemon had a very weird place in our lives. And this is why. We got a VHS tape in the mail that was sent to somebody else. You remember this?
Yeah.
It came like, what was that, a couple months before Pokemon went on air?
So it was about 6 months before the Pokemon video game was released and the Pokemon show was going to start that fall.
In the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, this was already, in Japan.
Well, presumably the video was made in Japan and dubbed in English.
Yeah. So we got this VHS tape in the mail.
Right.
And it was made for somebody else, but we begged our mom to let us watch it because it had cute little cartoon characters on the box.
It was a cartoon video, but with live action people talking. But then
our mom was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to mail that out.
Well, the video turned out to be an infomercial for Pokemon.
Yeah, it was introducing American audiences
The
to
game
Pokemon.
and the toys and the cards and the show that was going to come out.
So we thought we were the coolest kids ever. We were
No-
telling kids at
and
school
no
about
one knew about it.
this
Like-
new thing that was going to...
They were like, nuh-uh, that's not a thing.
That's dumb. That's not going to be a thing.
Little did they know the world was going to be taken over.
Yeah.
We were prepared. Like, when we knew Pokemon was when we saw the first commercial for, like, starting next week at 6 a.m. or whatever, we were like, we know about this.
Yeah, that's that Pikachu, I think.
We were ahead of the curve.
But in any case, yeah, so we knew it was up. And then you had another personal connection with Pokemon.
I did.
Because it was Burger King.
Burger King
Was doing a time where they had 50
kids
different
meals.
Pokemon toys, and with the kids meals, and they had a contest where you could win all 50
and a copy of the movie.
and a copy of the Pokemon movie.
And guess who won that?
And
Drop
this
the mic,
little-
bitches.
And this little Joshy over here, yeah, I can scream, and you're making weird sound effects.
I won that contest.
Josh did win that contest. He won a box of Pokemon toys from Burger King.
And then I ended up selling them at a garage sale years later for like $1 a piece.
And he turned a profit.
I did.
And he did get a copy of the Pokemon movie.
Or
was it tickets to the movie?
No, it was a copy of the movie with our oldest brother took us to the movie.
Oh, that's right.
And it came with also like a holographic, like first edition card of Mew or something.
Yeah, it was just like the, wasn't it just like the hieroglyph of him on a stone wall?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
The first movie was really good.
Except that stupid musical number about being,
so
you're my brother.
So be specific. Just quickly, specifically, what about the Pokemon cartoon really stuck out to you that made it number 4 for you?
Well, you know what? The Pokemon cartoon, it has a place in the culture. You know what I mean? It's just so important to the culture.
Yeah.
It really brought a lot of kids into like anime and stuff like that otherwise wouldn't have gotten into those types of things, including us.
Mm-hmm.
It's still quotable to today. Like, everyone knows who Pikachu is.
Also, compared to a lot of cartoons of that era, Pokemon was one of the first that had an ongoing narrative, which it wasn't episodic.
It was always like, what happens next week?
Stay tuned for Ash to...
Yeah, and then there was the Poke Rap.
Can you believe that we would get up before school, like we'd get up at like 6 a.m. to watch Pokemon?
And we would record those like every morning so that we could watch them again later.
Yeah. Also,
might I say again, do you remember the Poke Rap?
Yeah.
Gotta catch them all.
I don't remember the I can't tell you them all.
Catch 'em, gotta catch 'em.
Okay, yes. Who was your favorite character on Pokemon? Human character. Human, human, and then Pokemon.
Favorite human character? Probably Nurse Joy.
Really? My favorite human was James. I loved Team Rocket. I always thought Team
James
Rocket was
cool.
awesome.
Favorite Pokemon? I mean, it's probably Charizard. Like, everyone
really?
says Charizard.
Charizard was a whiny bitch.
What? No, he was just a strong, independent woman.
Charmeleon was worse, but Charizard was
just a strong, independent
My favorite
black
Pokemon
woman.
by far is the Squirtle, Wartortle, Blastoise formation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Squirtle's awesome. That episode where there was the whole gang of Squirtles and the one who was wearing the sunglasses, that Squirtle was a badass.
I just saw a really funny video online of just this turtle chasing this
I
cat
saw
around
that
this
also,
house and headbutting it.
It's
It's
like,
like
I shared that
Squirtle
video.
uses tackle.
Yeah, super effective. Alright, Pokemon number 4. Good pick.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
You had to catch them all. Remember we had the poster?
Yeah.
And it had all of them on it?
Yeah, and we had the Pokedex book that you got from Scholastic.
Yeah.
And the book fair, the games, the cards.
The only thing I can think right now is the fact that you were a complete hustler with Pokemon cards.
I did.
And you would trick kids out of there like...
No, one kid in particular, but...
yeah.
If I ever encounter a young man who in first... Or we were probably in like 3rd grade or something.
Yeah.
I think we were 2nd grade. We had a kid who... He didn't know a whole lot about how the rarity system worked in Pokemon. So obviously, common knowledge, Dot is common, a Diamond is uncommon, and Star is rare. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
This kid, I guess, didn't get that memo. So, and holographic, I guess he also didn't get the memo that only rares could be holographic. Maybe I stretched the truth a little bit, but...
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. That poor kid, you scammed him out of good cards.
Well, and so what happened was, he told me once, this is how it all began. Really quick story. He told me that he would give me $5, and when you're in like 2nd or 3rd grade, $5 is a fucking jackpot. He told me he'd give me $5 for like a Charmander. So I guess he didn't have any Pokemon cards like he didn't also realize that $5 could buy you a whole pack.
Yeah,
but
right.
he was like, I'll give you $5 for that Charmander. And I was like, wow, this kid must be rich. Sure, absolutely. So then I realized, then he did the same thing. He gave me like $3 for like a Rattata or something. So I was like, oh man, this is easy. So, yes, I kind of became a little hustler. And if you're wondering, what was a second grade doing with this money? I'd spend it all on tops. Like,
Oh, yeah, those wooden tops.
Wooden tops from the Ice Cream Man. But that's a whole other story.
I don't even know if that's relevant to, like, people...
No.
They'd be like, wooden tops from the Ice Cream Man.
They were cool, dude.
That sounds like you were molested.
No, they were cool. Anyway, but I wasn't molested. But anyway, so this one time, just really quick, I had a first edition Pikachu, and he offered me like $9 for this Pikachu.
What?
And I looked in the book. They had the book that had the values. This Pikachu was valued at, I think, $1.50 or something.
Yeah.
And he told me he'd give me $9 for it. So I said, yeah, absolutely. So he's like, all right, at recess or at lunch, I'll give you the $9. I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I'm getting ready. I'm about to shake up my chocolate milk and go crazy. And then he tells me at lunch, he's like, oh, Josh, I realized I only have like $5, so I'll pay you tomorrow. I'll get the all 9, and I'll pay you tomorrow. In the morning before school, I'll go into my mom's purse and get it out. And
he was stealing from his mom?
No, and I told him, I was like, you can just have it for the $5. And from that day on, I didn't sell him cards ever again. Like, even at like 8 years old, in my heart, I knew, I was like, oh shit, this isn't right. But I couldn't give him his money back. I already had bought like 10 tops with it. So in hindsight, I would have paid his money back. But yeah, I hustled him out of a lot of.
He was stealing from his mom.
So sorry, kid. Sorry, kid's mom.
What a funny anecdote.
Yes. What a tangent.
Well, moving on. What is your number 4?
All right. Well, sticking with the theme. Okay. So, my number 4 cartoon is actually Digimon. Digital Monsters.
Digimon.
And here's what I'm saying. Digimon, specifically Season 1 of Digimon, leading up to the Digimon movie.
That was a sweet movie.
It was awesome. And had a great soundtrack. But also, so if you're asking me which I like more, Pokemon or Digimon, Pokemon. But in terms of the cartoon, the Digimon cartoon I felt like the stakes were higher. Like they weren't like just battling each other and trying to collect gym badges. Like they were trying to survive and save the planet
against a literal devil.
Like the Devilmon.
Yeah.
Like Devivimon. Also, I thought that the one dude, I don't even remember his name, but the one dude who had the werewolf.
Yeah.
That thing was sweet. That was just a cool character.
Yeah, he was badass.
Yeah, and then the little kid who had Patamon that turned into Angimon. Angimon was...
Oh, yeah.
Like, I thought the Digimon, and the fact that they could talk too, so they were, like, they had a lot more...
They were characters.
They had a lot more, like, character than just Pikachu going Pika Pika.
I'm sorry, I was just remembering that later on, I watched some of the show. Now, like, as an adult
Digimon?
with my kids, I was like, here, I'll show this to you.
I'm sure it sucks.
And, no, it's god-awful. And a lot of the stuff doesn't translate really well. So, at the end of, I think, Season 1, or when they come back to Earth, and then there's that giant monster.
Yeah, and it was like 666, and they had to save the world.
Yeah, and he had, like, red bat wings off of his mask
and he was gonna destroy the Earth.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember this. You should go back and watch it. All of our listeners should watch it. This giant evil monster that looks like a demon.
It was supposed to be like the devil.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the devil. He goes, I'm even more powerful and evil now. Complete. And then it like pans down to like, I think his stomach. I'm trying to remember exactly how it was. But he had like 2 faucets, like a blue one and a red one.
Really?
He's like complete with hot and cold taps.
Really?
It's like, what?
Oh no! All right. Well, did you? Yeah.
The Japanese are so weird.
That's some cartoons. No.
Yeah, no Japanese cartoons.
Yeah. No. So as a kid, I loved Digimon. It was a great cartoon. It was compelling. I would have given it, like an 8 out of 10.
Oh yeah, it's the same.
What would you give Pokemon?
Probably the same.
8. Yeah.
We don't need to give our out of 10s for all these.
Ah, why not? We're doing it.
Okay, ready?
Number 3.
Number 3. For me, it's the Animaniacs,
it's
dude.
Time for Animaniacs.
Yeah, what a great show.
I loved Animaniacs.
It was like a clip show, a lot of adult humor in there. You can go back and watch that as an adult right now, and you'll still have a blast.
And how educational. I learned a lot from Yakko's Countries of the World. I still sometimes sing that.
And the 50 states and their capitals.
That was Wacko.
Yeah, Wacko did that one.
And then they did the presidents.
Yep. It was just a great show. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it was funny too, really funny.
Well, it was really funny.
Steven Spielberg produced it.
Yeah, it was like a clip show. You had different bits in it,
like a little vaudeville kind of thing going on.
And one of the cool things about that show, it had great representations of a lot of different types of people.
It did.
Like, it wasn't just, for instance, in a lot of shows, like, the female character is just one type of thing, but they had Dot, who, like, uses her cuteness to get what she wants, but really she's, like, a tough chick.
Yeah.
And then you had Hello Nurse, which everyone would say is, oh, she's just, like, a sex symbol, but she's crazy smart. She has, like, multiple doctorates or whatever. And then you have Slappy Squirrel, who's just, like, an old bitch.
I forgot about Slappy Squirrel. Dude, damn, that show was sweet.
And then you had Chicken Boo.
And Pinky and the Brain debuted on Animaniacs, right?
Yeah, he was. Well, they were part of that show.
Yeah, and then they
were one of the clubs.
And then they got their spin-off. They got their own show.
You remember Chicken Boo?
Yeah.
You're not a man, you're a chicken boo.
Dude, is Animaniacs on Netflix?
I think so. Or either on Netflix or on Hulu.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch Animaniacs. That show was dope.
Yeah.
Oh, Animaniacs, I might put up a 9.
Yeah.
I might give Animaniacs.
I love
Animaniacs.
Animaniacs.
Really good.
All right, your number 3.
Okay, so my number 3, given my DC love and heritage, I am going to say my number 3 was the Superman animated series.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
So all of those Bruce Timm, Paul Dini influenced WB cartoons of which ended up being Justice League and Batman Beyond and Static Shock and all of them, were all really great. But the Superman one I really enjoyed. One, because I didn't know a whole lot about Superman's lore up until this. I mean, I didn't recall the Christopher Reeve movies or anything. I really got into Superman, and I knew and learned about Superman and his villains and stuff because of this cartoon.
Oh yeah, me too, absolutely.
The voice cast was awesome, especially, my standout was probably Clancy as Lex Luthor.
Yep.
But Tim Daly is Superman, and then the Lois Lane, I forget her name, but that voice is iconic. The show got a new kind of Brainiac origin, and that was sweet. Metallo the episode of Metallo was like heart-wrenching when he... also, it had Bizarro, and who's the guy who did the voice for Iago in Aladdin?
Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, he was the voice of Mixie Pitlick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and watching
that's kind of perfect.
The Mixie Pitlick episodes are really funny. It showed how Superman, it really captured him perfectly. It was a great show. It was cool. I'd give it a 9.
I think the one I remember the most is the episode with Brainiac and Candor in the bottle.
Yeah. And then also, the Superman show is also where they debuted, finally, the Superman-Batman crossover, World's Finest, was actually 3 episodes of the show they turned into a TV movie. And basically that was what set up Justice League, which is arguably the best cartoon of the 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
So, it really all went from there. Not to mention, you don't get to see Crypto on the show as much as I would like. But other than that, it's good. And I love Bizarro and stuff. So.
You love Crypto.
Dude, I love Crypto.
All right. Number 2. All right, now keeping in theme with comic books, and actually something I was literally just watching before we came down here, the Spider-Man animated series.
Oh, what a good show.
Spider-Man was great, wasn't
Fox, man. Fox had great cartoons also.
You always had one thing they did with that show that I was just watching, remember, they had these, 3D animated backdrops of the city, and then they would have him swing through it.
Oh, yeah.
So that it looked like he was actually going into the background, as opposed to just swinging across 2D landscapes.
Spider-Man, and that covered all of Spider-Man's rogues. I think it was probably a lot of stories, actual stories influenced the cartoon.
Yeah, we saw, and a lot of obscure things too.
Right.
Once you get into Madam Web and the the whole Spider-Verse.
They did,
they
did the Mary Jane, Mary Jane being a clone thing on the show, right?
I think so.
I think they did too.
They did a lot of stuff.
They had
Peter Parker getting married to Mary Jane.
And then she turned out to be the clone, I think, after. They had the Silver Spider-Man from the future. That one was sweet.
Yeah, they touched on a lot of different stories.
Oh, man, but the sweetest was the Venom story. Venom on that show was awesome.
Yeah. Now, and you know what? Spider-Man, they still make awesome shows of him. Ultimate Spider-Man, the show that's running right now, is a really cool show.
But none of them, I don't think, would have... But without
this one, they wouldn't have had it. And it's just a great, awesome show. Actually, the ones we were just watching, I don't know if you guys remember this from like the first season, where they had the giant Spider robots that linked up together. They had the little one, the middle one, and then the big scorpion one, the Spider Slayers.
Right.
Did you not want to drive one of those?
Oh, absolutely. That show also had obviously most of these shows did, but it had some sweet toys that like tie-in toys.
Oh yeah,
we had a bunch of them. I loved my Spider-Man toy from the show.
Yeah.
I would say I did not like Rhino, though. I always thought Rhino was a stupid villain.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
His costume's dumb.
Yeah. Also, I thought Electro and Shocker were too similar.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they're a bunch of different...
What was the name of the Scorpion guy?
Scorpion.
It's just Scorpion?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Damn it. Scorpion was cool.
What was the name of that Scorpion guy?
I never liked Doc Ock. I know he's like his arch nemesis, but I didn't like Doc Ock that much.
Doc Ock's like the #1.
Holy shit. And then Spider-Man crossed over with X-Men a couple times, and those episodes were always sweet.
Oh yeah, where he would...
With Wolverine
would
they would hate each other.
Webhead.
Yeah. Spider-Man was really good.
Yeah.
Also a 9.
I love Spider-Man.
Yeah, maybe a 9.5.
What is your number 2?
Number 2. Okay, so... going back to the anime theme, there was one anime in particular that I would watch every day during Toonami, which was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I forgot about Toonami.
Toonami was sweet. It had Gundam, it had Outlaw Star.
It had that weird little guy in a robot, and he was the host.
Yeah, that robot guy.
What was his name?
I don't remember. Joe. He was a robot guy,
He had a regular dude name.
Flying through space. But the one show on Toonami, Sailor Moon was great, but the one that really stood out to me, I watched every single day, was Dragon Ball Z. That show was
DBZ.
So good. It had the original Dragon Ball was like, I went back and have watched a few times, and it's good, but Dragon Ball Z had everything you want. It had intense combat, it had an ongoing narrative that even though as an adult you realize was just the same thing, like they'd fight new ultimate villain that threatens the world and they have to acquire new powers to beat him. And then, Raditz, and then Frieza, then Cell, then Majin Buu. But regardless, we didn't care. We always were like, oh my goodness, how are they going to... The Cell games, that entire Cell games part was crazy. Yeah, and then Frieza, and holy shit, when Trunks first debuted, like when he came from the future and cut Frieza in half.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like, tell me you weren't enamored by Trunks. And we're like, dude, I want to be.
Although I think my favorite part of the series was actually when Gohan was still a little boy, and they were trying to figure out how powerful he is because he dublows Raditz away. Yeah. And then he goes and he trains with Piccolo and turns into the giant ape and destroys the desert. Yeah,
Piccolo was actually probably he was lower on my tier. My favorite character by far was always Vegeta. Vegeta was awesome. I loved how he went from being a villain to a hero, but he was still always a villain.
It's crazy that they allowed him to be good.
Yeah, he wanted to destroy the world.
I mean, he killed billions of people on other planets.
And the other thing about Vegeta, that I always found Vegeta compelling. His story arc was so compelling because he was always in Goku's shadow. Yeah. He was trying so hard. And then finally he had his moment in the sun when he was strong enough, but then he got kind of beat by whoever. Dragon Ball Z was just awesome. Yeah. And you know what? For all those people out there who think if you watch violent cartoons, you're going to be violent, Dragon Ball Z was violent off the wall, even edited. But I never went out and tried to beat up anyone or Kamehameha them or any of that.
Yeah. Although, admittedly, when I was in the first grade, now this isn't that, this is Power Rangers. But I remember we would play Power Rangers, me and my friends, and we would just throw rocks at each other. And that was how we played Power Rangers.
Was it Rocket Megazord? Or?
No, we would stand in a circle. This was in El Paso, in an area where there was a bunch of rocks off of where the blacktop was. Remember you'd go down that hill?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so we would stand in this big circle, and you wouldn't leave where you're standing. You would just reach down and grab rocks, and you would throw them, and that was Power Rangers. And we just play until someone started crying.
Wow. So who would win, the Blue Ranger?
No, everyone who didn't cry.
Next week at Comic-Con, can you please tell Steve Cardenas that's what he inspired you to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw rocks at his friends.
Absolutely.
But back to Dragon Ball Z. I think that my favorite part of the show was probably the Cell time when Gohan finally was able to go Super Saiyan and win. My favorite DBZ character after, so Vegeta #1, then Gohan, then Trunks, then maybe Goku.
Yeah.
I never liked Krillin.
Nobody likes Krillin.
Krillin was a lame-o. What was the dude with the 3 eyes?
Tien.
Tien was cool, and also the
And
dude,
Yamcha.
Yamcha with the scar. Yamcha was cool too. Oh, but Master Roshi was.
But Tien and Yamcha weren't that much in it.
No, they were
because they were more in Dragon Ball.
I definitely feel like Master Roshi might have raped a few people in his life.
He's a total pervert.
He's a Bill Cosby.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Number
so
one.
Dragon Ball Z. I would give Dragon Ball Z a 10.
I'll give it a 9.
I thought Dragon Ball Z was awesome.
All right. Now on to number 1. Let me run a little something by you. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
I knew this was coming. Webhead.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
X-Men. X-Men.
Is that not the catchiest, most iconic intro song?
I will say
to anything ever.
I will say that it is, for iconic intro songs, it's tied with something else. If you know what I'm talking about. But it is the best intro song of any cartoon.
It's better than Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it is.
It's better than any other intro song. And you had the two sides running at each other, where you had Professor X and the waves coming off of his head with Magneto. Yeah,
that was just a fantastic cartoon.
Yeah,
that also
so compelling,
and it dealt with real adult issues, but in a way that kids would understand.
Absolutely, it didn't pander itself to children.
No.
I also watched a few episodes of that earlier today.
I watched a few episodes past week.
Well, basically, I was talking to my wife about what our topic was for tonight, and she was like, "Oh, my favorite '90s cartoon was X-Men." I was like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah." I was like, "That's what I had for my number 1."
Yeah.
And she said, "Man, I wish there was a place where we could watch it." I'm like, "It's on Hulu." So we threw it right on there, and we started watching. And I had totally forgotten how many of the storylines are in the first season.
The Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past. Apocalypse is introduced in the first season.
Wasn't he at the end of the first season?
Later in the first season, yeah. They introduced Cable in the first season.
God.
Just right out of the gate, they throw all manner of storylines.
But everything about X-Men was sweet. The costumes of that show are still, in my opinion, the most iconic costumes of X-Men. The voice acting was excellent. Gambit was so cool in the X-Men cartoon.
Wolverine,
obviously. Cyclops
was
cool.
What are you gonna do, bub?
They did the Dark Phoenix saga in that one.
Yeah.
Even Apocalypse was terrifying. Honestly, Apocalypse the movie was cool, but Apocalypse in the cartoon was menacing.
Speaking of which, I saw a mock-up that a prop company did for an Apocalypse helmet based on a bust of Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
They actually lost the contract to the company that eventually did it, but the one that they made looked just like the comic book character. And at first, I thought it was going to be too silly and cartoonish until I saw what it would look like, and I was like, nah, they should have gone with that. Dude. It looked badass. I'll tweet a picture of it.
The only thing I didn't like about the X-Men cartoon was that they called him Magnus. They call Magneto Magnus.
Oh, that's right.
Instead of Eric Lehnsherr.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what made them, just because Magnus sounds more like Magneto.
It's his nickname. Calls him Magnus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's his middle name.
But man, what a great show.
Yeah, absolutely. Just wonderful.
Yeah. I also, the other thing about it was it made you root for more than just the X-Men movies have been very Wolverine heavy. That's no surprise.
Yeah,
until
absolutely.
Just recently, these new ones. Actually, no, Days of Future Past, Wolverine heavy. But this show, every episode was kind of making you root for another.
Well, Wolverine has done at least a cameo in every single X-Men movie.
Right. This one, Beast, there were episodes where it was all Beast. There were episodes where it was all Jubilee had a whole lot to do in it.
The very first episode starts about being Jubilee.
Yeah. Which I never was a huge Jubilee fan, but she was cool.
You know her name is actually Jubilation Lee.
Oh, gosh.
I didn't know that until I just watched it.
Well, that's
today.
Edward Nygma.
Yeah.
Or Pamela Isley. Or Harleen Quinzel. That's the... But,
wow, you're mentioning a lot of things.
Yeah. But damn, dude, I really, really liked Gambit.
I know Gambit was always your favorite.
He was awesome.
Nightcrawler, Kurt
Wagner.
What a cool show.
And the whole thing about Mystique being Rogue's adopted mom or whatever.
Well, no, Mystique is Nightcrawler's mom.
No, but didn't Mystique and Rogue have something?
Oh yeah. Wait, I think you're
Days
right.
of Future Past, they talked about it.
Yeah. Dude, it's just a sweet show.
How was Mystique Nightcrawler's mom? I know they talked about that, but is that canon?
Well, when a boy and a girl.
No. But is that canon? Is that in the actual?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And obviously they're not doing that for the movies.
They're both blue.
Yeah, that's mostly it.
Yeah. So is Beast the dad?
Oh, I hope not.
Great show. Sabretooth was awesome.
Yeah. No, that all the characters were cool in that show.
Yeah.
And then again, there's that intro.
The other thing about X-Men I think that was really big for us was just that, like, it was one of those shows that we would watch it and then, like, go outside and play X-Men.
Oh, yeah. You would throw things and be like, I'm Gambit.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, man, I'm Wolverine.
I would get a deck of cards and start throwing them around, like, Gambit cards.
And I would just, like, hold forks in between my fingers and be like, man, I'm Wolverine.
Knives. We used to play with knives.
Yeah.
We stabbed
and
each
guns.
other.
We used guns.
Yeah.
Because it's America.
And magnets. We'd grab magnets and be Magneto.
Yeah. And there was this one time I was Beast, so I just got naked and ran around.
Yeah. You're still naked.
Yeah.
All right. Are you... So, obviously X-Men gets a 10 spot.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, X is 10, the Roman numeral for 10, and that's what it gets.
Yeah. 10 men.
Yeah. My number 1 is obviously Batman the Animated Series. Arguably the best cartoon show ever. Maybe not even arguably.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm created a masterpiece with the Batman Animated Series. Every single episode was just so compelling as little individual stories, but also just adding to the Batman mythos. Mr. Freeze, which was a garbage character, they turned him into an Emmy Award-winning,
they gave him
character.
a really cool story.
And all you guys out there who love Harley Quinn, she debuted on the Batman.
She wasn't even a character in the comics.
Yeah, she was created by them.
She was so well accepted that they wrote her into.
She's probably one of DC's most famous characters right now, most popular. Just everything about it, like that, and you can't mention the Batman Animated Series without mentioning two things. One, Mark Hamill's Joker and Kevin Conroy's Batman are probably the most iconic voices. Like, when people ask, who is the Batman? Is it Ben Affleck now? Is it Christian Bale? No, it's Kevin Conroy. He's been Batman for over 20 years. Mark Hamill's been the Joker for over 20 years. Heath Ledger, great job, R.I.P., but Mark Hamill's still the best Joker.
Yeah.
And so when I see him in, like, for instance, like Flash, when he's playing Trickster and stuff, I still, when I hear him laughing, I'm still like, that's a little bit of Joker.
And it's like, why isn't he just being the Joker?
Why can't he just be Joker?
Why can't he just be Joker in Suicide Squad?
I can't wait for Killing Joke with him and Conroy
it's going to be so good.
The other thing I was going to mention, besides the outstanding voice acting and writing and all of that, the storytelling, was the movie Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh, good Lord.
So good.
What a creepy performance of the Joker in that movie.
That movie, if you've never seen Batman Mask of the Phantasm, do yourself a favor and go watch it, because it is arguably the best Batman movie to ever. Now, I'm talking period Batman movie that ever came out.
Yeah.
There is nothing about that movie that is bad. That is a 10 out of 10 for sure.
It's heart-wrenching, it's
music is incredible, the direction's great.
It's got a lot of creepiness to it.
It has a lot of adult themes.
It can be very scary.
Yeah.
And then you got the Joker and that weird, like, Town of Tomorrow or whatever.
One of those future cities.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness, the mystery of who is the Phantasm and what's going on there, great. There's murder in it, it was just sweet.
Yeah, that was great.
It was a great movie, and the whole cartoon is just great. And also, the artwork in that cartoon is so good. Like, when you imagine, like, iconic Batman image, most people, I know, like, I would bet, think of the animated series Batman.
You know what they think of? They think of that moment where Batman's standing on the building,
the
lightning crashes, and it says Batman the Animated Series.
So, and then, coming from that, then it went to the new adventures of Batman and Robin. So, and Robin was awesome in that show.
Yep.
Then, they went on, and then they added, I didn't know about Tim Drake or any of that, or I didn't give a shit about Batgirl until the animated series had all them in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I already loved Batman from the get-go, but this show just totally solidified it.
There's a get-go? Anyway, Batman was one of the greatest shows ever made, by far. You had a great musical score.
Oh my gosh.
You had this really cool Gotham that was almost timeless. You know what I mean? Like, the cars gave you a hint that it was, like, the 30s or the 40s.
And the TVs were all black and white.
But the technology kind of gave you a hint that it was, like, modern.
Yeah.
So, they made Gotham kind of this timeless place.
They made Gotham Gothic.
It was always so dark.
Holy shit, and Ra's al Ghul was really cool in the show, too.
Alfred Pennyworth was awesome in the show.
I think one of my favorite episodes was the Ra's al Ghul one, where they kidnapped Robin, and then they kidnapped Talia, but it was actually Ra's the whole time doing the whole thing. Spoiler. But damn, any episode with the Joker was also awesome.
You know, we were mentioning before about fan theories. I heard one about Batman the Animated Series that was that the whole thing is No, specifically the animated series, not Batman in general.
Right.
That Bruce Wayne, after his parents are murdered, goes crazy and grows up in an insane asylum, and all of the villains and whatnot are just like orderlies and other patients, and he sees himself as Batman, and he sees other people as that, and that's like the adventures are all in his head. My counter to that, I was actually thinking about this the other day as I was working on something, and I was watching my kids playing with their toys. I thought, what if it's just a kid playing with action figures? A kid named Bruce Wayne who saw his parents die, and this is how he's working out his emotions. And of course, he's going to make himself the amazing detective that uses fear to fight the bad guys, just like he was scared by Joe Chill.
But he came up with the idea that, like, this ventriloquist is going to have a wooden puppet named Scarface that's a gangster.
Well, maybe he heard of the movie Scarface.
That's true.
Like, I just thought, like, maybe it's just a kid playing with his action figures.
In fact, I will say that that's the one show I can probably say that there is not a single episode of it that I do not like. There is one that I can tell you which one's my least favorite. It's the one with Baby Doll, who is like this actress who has this disease that she like looks like a little kid even in her 40s and 50s, and she becomes she goes crazy obviously dealing with that, and teams up with Killer Croc, and Batman has to.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
one.
that one is kind of lame.
What do you think would be your favorite episode?
Oh, that would be difficult. I might have to go with either the Mr. Freeze one that won the Emmy.
Yeah.
Heart of Ice or whatever it's called.
Where they introduced
actually
Nora Allen.
No,
Nora Freeze.
Or alternatively, I might have to go with Mad Love, which also I think won an Emmy, and that was the one where you really got Harley Quinn's origin, and mostly because the end of that episode is so Harley Quinn, to try and impress the Joker, finally like catches Batman without talking to Joker. Joker's off doing his thing, trying to figure out how he's going to kill Batman again, and Harley actually fools Batman, drugs him, ties him up, and is about to put him into a piranha tank with all these piranhas or barracudas or something, and Joker comes and freaks out it's right before Joker shows up. Harley's there, and she's like, then Puddin' will love me because I got him. And Batman says, like, wait a second, like, you and the Joker? That's rich. And Batman starts laughing, and Harley Quinn, like, turns around, and her face is, like, terrified. And she's like, I've never heard you laugh before. And he keeps laughing, and she's like, I don't like that, stop it. And starts freaking out while Batman's laughing, because they're so used to seeing him brooding. And then it's...
I don't remember that
And
one.
then, watch it. It's a phenomenal episode. And then Joker shows up, and he's pissed, and he throws Harley out a window. And she falls in a car and, like, gets smashed, and then she realizes, like, I'm done with him forever, whatever, and then he leaves her, like, a rose in Arkham, and then she's like, my Puddin', and it ends that way, and it just shows that they're the most toxic relationship in existence. Awesome episode.
I think, at least the episode that stands out in my memory the most is when Clayface is first introduced.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, you see him as, like, the
movie star,
the actor that's, like, down on his luck, and he's a really tragic villain.
They made so many of them, like, yeah.
Yeah, like, you felt for him. You know, it wasn't just like he's bad because he's bad. He is a tortured soul, you know?
Yeah.
And then, there's the fact that he's an amazing villain. You know, he's super strong, he can change his shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made him really cool.
Yeah, I love the show. It's probably, I mean, if it wasn't going to be your top one, it was going to be my top one.
Yeah, there's no arguing that it's just... It's perfect.
So again, 10 out of 10. X-Men, 10 out of 10.
So there it is, our 5th week top 5 90s cartoons.
Thank you for helping us get to our 10th episode.
Woo!
That's exciting. Now, we will end this show as we end. Oh, actually, really quick before we end the show, I heard a really cool rumor. Well, I mean, again, it's not a real rumor. It's like a theory, but it ties into Batman and Suicide Squad specifically. So, Jared Leto's Joker, a lot of people saw like the way he looks, and he's so skinny, and he's got those metal teeth right in the front, and they made a connection to his character in Fight Club. Remember, he was the bleach blonde guy that Edward Norton beats the shit out of, and ends up like punching the teeth out, or
right.
Or was that what he fought Brad Pitt. No, I think it's when he fights Edward Norton. And a lot of people are like, what if this exists in the same universe, and that same guy that was brainwashed by Edward Norton goes on to become the Joker one day?
He wasn't, but that's a cool theory.
That's a cool theory.
Yeah, that's not what happens, but that's cool.
It could.
No, it's not. That's
Sure,
not.
why not?
Maybe in Jared Leto's mind.
Why not?
Because that's not what happened.
Why not?
Was Fight Club even a DC movie? I thought it was a Fox picture.
No, it doesn't matter.
Or, I mean, a Warner Brothers, not DC.
It exists in the same universe.
Sure, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Just like Rugrats and Reptar and Godzilla.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and Cat Dog.
Why not?
Alright.
Moving on to our Clash of the Tights!
Last week, Clash of the Tights was Samus from Metroid v Mega Man from Mega Man. And we both thought Samus would take that one.
Samus would take that one.
And sure enough,
Twitter chimed in and
agreed. So congratulations, Samus. Mega Man, I guess you can turn into your little ball of light and go hang out with your pedophile creator.
The blue bomber bitched out.
The blue bomber bombed. Alright, so introduce us to this week's Clash of the Tights.
Well, in this week's Clash of the Tights, we have two groups that are in pretty big movies right now.
Team battle. I love them.
And one of which are movies that I don't care for, and one of which is a movie I do care for. We have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, the gang that dominated this weekend's box office.
Versus the Guardians of the Galaxy.
The people who dominated the box office about a year ago.
Yeah. You know, I haven't seen either of the Michael Bay TMNT movies.
Me either. I hear that they're okay.
I was thinking about watching the first one now that they have it out on Hulu.
Yeah.
Checking it out.
So, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus the Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's get a little bit of a rundown on these bad boys.
Well, first of all, we have Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and Leonardo.
Fueled by pizza.
They are four gigantic humanoid turtles.
Cowabunga.
They were raised in darkness by a weird rat master.
Created in the incident that created Daredevil. That's their origin.
Told by the writers. They have a lot of really cool ninjutsu training from Master Splinter, who is also known as Pizza Rat. He was taking pizza down to his four turtle children.
They have super strength, heightened advanced
super speed. They're crazy
agility,
stealthy. They're also turtles.
Yeah,
so they have shells.
They can breathe underwater.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Turtles can't breathe underwater.
Well,
you know that, right?
These turtles
Please tell me you know that.
No, I don't think these turtles can.
Or at least they can hold their breath a long time.
They're
all trained in variety of weapons, but they each have their own, specific...
And they're excellent martial artists.
They crack wise.
They have crazy vehicles that are all turtle themed. Yeah, they also have a lot of New York City themed things. So they have guns that shoot what are those sewer manhole covers?
Manhole covers.
They shoot manhole covers.
I mean they
have turtle bombs.
They go toe to toe with Krang, who's another dimensions super leader.
Right.
Dimension X, and they can hold their own for sure.
They also battle their arch nemesis Shredder, who is an evil.
Oh, warlord. He's second to Krang, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying that their arch nemesis is probably Shredder. And, yeah, good stuff.
So...
Turtles. Heavy fighters.
Now, if we're going to be talking
about... one last thing about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They have just recently finished their adventures with the world's greatest detective, Batman, and they learned a lot from him, and were able to hold their own with him against some of his deadliest foes.
I think you specifically mean the comics, right? This isn't your own little fan fiction.
No, this is the actual comic limited series.
Because in your Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fanfic, there's a lot more sex, right?
There's a lot more turtle dick.
Turtle dick?
Yeah.
Ooh, dude, turtle dicks are super weird.
I know, dude.
Google that ish.
I already did for my fanfiction. No, this really did limited series Batman and Ninja Turtles, and it just ended recently. And yeah, the Turtles prove that they can hang out with Batman, so. Alright, tell us about the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Time for the Guardians of the Galaxy.
So they are comprised of Rocket Raccoon, or as I like to say, Raccoon.
Rocket Raccoon. Groot, the giant tree man.
I am Groot.
Gamora, the amazing the galaxy's most deadly woman. Drax the Destroyer.
Who's crazy.
And, of course, Star-Lord, their fearless leader. Now, these guys, they have advanced space-age weaponry. They have a clear numbers advantage, 1. And they're going to be fighting on a couple different fronts. Whereas the Ninja Turtles are mostly going to be close quarters, we do have 3 that are close quarters combatants, Drax, Groot, and Gamora, and 2 that are going to hang back and be firing in with guns, as in Rocket and Peter Quill.
Right, so Star-Lord has those cool little things that are like gravity bombs.
Yeah.
And then his
He
little
also
gun.
has sweet rocket boots.
Yeah, and his little gun.
So he might be like floating up in the air.
Right.
Groot can change his size, and he can change his body as needed. Drax has 2 little knife thingies,
which he's good with.
Super strong.
Gamora has a sword.
Gamora kicks ass.
Yeah.
And Rocket then, of course, there's Rocket, who has all of the guns.
Yeah, all the guns. So how do you see this battle going?
Well, to be honest, here's how I see it playing out. The Turtles are going to show up. They're going to be cracking wise. One of them is going to make a joke about Rocket. Rocket's going to be like, let's flarkin' blast these fools. Groot's going to be like, I am Groot, which, obviously. And then it's going to go all out. The Turtles are going to pair up with some of the people fighting, initially. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have, like, Drax going toe-to-toe with Raphael. And you're going to have Michelangelo spinning his nunchucks trying to smash Rocket as he's dodging back and forth. Groot's going to be pounding, and Leonardo's going to cut off his arms with his little twin katana blades. And then Donatello's going to come spinning with his stick, but Gamora's going to catch that and kick him right in his turtle dick. Right? Well, eventually what's going to...
talk of turtle dick.
Yeah. Now Leonardo's going to spin around, he's going to cut off Groot's legs, and then he's going to take off the head. Groot's going to be out of the fight until he can reconstitute himself.
Which might take years.
Yeah, Gamora's going to just punch Donatello's head into his shell and then kick him off a balcony.
Right.
Drax and Raphael are going to fight themselves out knife and knife until they both get really tired and fall asleep. Rocket is going to take one shot to the tail with the nunchuck. He's going to turn and put a bullet in Michelangelo's head. Peter Quill is just going to be sitting back, drinking the whole time because he knows his team can take this. Right? Now, eventually, Gamora's going to turn to help out her buddy. She's going to see that that Groot's been taken out. Rocket's going to turn, seeing that Groot's going to take out. They're going to double team Leonardo. Now, Leonardo's no joke, but he can't hold his weight against Gamora and Rocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to eventually take him out. Then they're going to turn and they're going to see that Raphael's taking a little nap. Rocket's going to walk up, double tap back to the head. They're going to pick up the parts of Groot, and they're going to walk away.
So you're saying win, Guardians?
Peter Quill's going to finish his drink.
You're
KO.
That was a really long way of saying win, Guardians.
Well, we remember last week you said we were going to...
No, you said
we were going to say how we were going to do it.
You wanted to do that.
Oh, well, fine.
I'm not a fan of the fatality
I'm just painting in the audience's head a picture.
I'm going to go off the bat. I actually think the Turtles will take this one.
Oh, yeah?
And here's why. So the Guardians have the manpower with one extra person. Or woman power with Gamora. And Gamora, I think, would be the X factor for the Guardians here because of her training. However, I'm going based on the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. And the Turtles are a more cohesive group. They've been trained to work as a team, unlike the Guardians. They know each other. They have Donatello, who's a master strategist, and Leonardo, who's a really great leader. So I think as a group, they would fight better. So they would have a plan. And, I always defer to the better strategist will win. And that's because Batman's the master strategist who always wins. So I base it off that. They've teamed with Batman, so they have excellent training. They know how to hold with him. So they could probably handle these guys. I think that Groot would get chopped up, like you're saying. I think that Drax would probably defeat... Well, Drax v. Raphael would be really close. But I think Raphael would pull it out in the end, because they're both pretty angry. I think Michelangelo and Donatello would probably be the casualties. But Michelangelo would be able to hold it with Rocket, but they probably would kill each other in the mess. I think that Gamora and Leonardo would be the final thing going on, but after Raphael defeated Drax, he'd be able to come over and help Leonardo, and the two of them would take down Gamora. I think that it would be an intense battle. There'd be casualties on both sides. Two of the Turtles would have to split a pizza now instead of doing it 4 ways. But I'm going to say win TMNT.
All right, well, you heard it here. We are at odds in this week, so we're going to put it up on the poll and see what you guys think at home, and we'll get your word on that.
So that's our show for the evening.
Yeah.
Join us next week when we'll be discussing everything that we see at Harrisburg Comic-Con.
Yeah, I'm going to be
On
dressed up
set.
as someone.
Woohoo!
It's going to be fun.
If any of you are going to Harrisburg Comic-Con, tweet us and let us know. We will hopefully see you and say what's up.
I'll give you the high fives.
We will be there looking at comic books, talking to celebs, going to panels.
Check out Steve Cardenas.
Hanging out with our boy Steve Cardenas, Red Ranger. I'll probably be buying comic books.
Yeah.
Great time.
Well, that's it. You make sure you check us out. YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter at Strong and Geek.
Call us on the phone and ask us redo the entire show.
Don't do that. Follow us at the Ben Ramirez and at Ramres Reprez.
Did you say or at the Strong and Geek?
Yeah, at Strong and Geek. Yeah, that's our
Woohoo,
page.
of course.
You can also check us out on Facebook. We are also on Facebook.
We are?
Yeah. You
Check us
didn't
out.
know. You didn't know I made a Facebook page.
You didn't tell me. Well,
Oh,
now
yeah.
we're on Facebook too. Woohoo! And keep in mind that merch is still a possibility. So
We need to see
if
some
we
interest.
talk to people, yeah. So yeah,
we'll get you T-shirts with our sweet logo. Take that, Hollywood.
Yeah. All right. So you all stay strong and stay geek.
Geeky.
Welcome to the post-credit scene. It's your boy Peter Parker. If you have decided that our post-credit scenes are a waste of time and are immature,
Fuck you.
I was gonna say you're right, but yeah, fuck you too. Also, this week I decided to eat a Taco Bell.
Oh, big old taco, give me the poopies.
Woo!
God damn it.